In the SAT writing, you may have questions that are either too broad or way too specific. That is the topic of ambiguity, and I want to discuss this. It's very common to SAT writing, and you can see in this first question, they frequently advise college undergraduates to pursue internships because the career specific learning provided blah blah blah. Who is they? We don't know who they is. So obviously A has to be wrong. We need to provide at least some specificity. Even though we're trying to get a concise answer, which is what the SAT loves, we need to find an answer that is specific as well as succinct. So many frequently advise college undergraduates. Who is many? What is many? So we can just cross that out. College counselors. So finally we have a subject here. So I'm pretty sure C will be our answer. Then we have because of those that advise them. Who is those? What is those? So obviously D is wrong. So let's go C. That was correct. On to question 2. The underlying portion, blah, 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 makes sense unclear. And then change it. Harold and his brother Justin went to the gym together. Each challenged the other to bench press his own weight, but only he succeeded. So who is he? We can replace that with any person. Let's say, but only Harold succeeded, but only Justin succeeded. They both work in this case, so we need to be a little more specific. This is a little unclear. We don't know what the writer is trying to convey. So in this case, the word that will correct it is Justin. The brother, the other, and no change. They all just have the same kind of ambiguous, unclear type of tone in this sentence. So let's check our answer. That's correct. On to question 3. The Dormouse sings Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Bats to the Mad Hatter 3 times over the course of tea. Each time he falls asleep while singing. So we know it is the Dormouse. I mean, we want to say it's either the Dormouse or like the Mad Hatter, but in this case, while singing, the while singing is not really attributed to either the Dormouse or the Mad Hatter. So if you could say each time the Mad Hatter falls asleep while singing, or the Dormouse, that's the same thing. So I would say the Dormouse in this case, because it clarifies who fell asleep, and it's not really clear if you just use he. Number 4. Chelsea laughed at Kelsey, but she still wore butterfly wings to the library nearly every day. So obviously we know there's a pattern here. This is pronoun clarity. It's going to be Kelsey because who is she? It could be either Chelsea or Kelsey. It would make the sentence correct. The women, her coworker, and no change have the same type of tone of ambiguity. So C is obviously correct. And yep. And lastly, Eleanor's boyfriend, gazing into the night sky, said that one outshone every star in the sky. What is one? This it's not this pronoun clarity as in oh we need to make this more specific. I think it's more of a word choice. So I would say she because she is obviously Eleanor. Eleanor's boyfriend, gazing into the night sky, said that she outshone every star in the sky. What is the other outshone every star in the sky? Or one of them outshone every star in the sky. If you read it to yourself, that makes no grammatical sense. So I'd say B. Nice. Now I want to go to effective language use regarding precision. In this case, we want to know how concise or how like long, specific, broad we need to be in order to get the perfect answer. I would like to think SAT writing questions like Goldilocks. You can't have porridge that's too hot or too cold. You want the one that's perfect in the middle. You want something that's not too specific and not too broad, and you don't want things that repeat itself. No redundancy allowed. And in this case, art forgery is incredibly difficult to detect because forged art requires scrutiny by a forensic art expert. Obviously, they mentioned forgery already, so you don't need to mention again. So obviously, no change is wrong. Art forgery is challenging and difficult to detect. Forged art, you don't need to do that because you already mentioned art forgery. Um, and I would say it in this case because you already know that the subject is art forgery. So art forgery is incredibly difficult to detect. It requires scrutiny by a forensic art expert. And last, all these answer choices mention some sort of forgery, and we don't really need to talk about this because the question, the this excerpt is already implying that they're talking about art forgery. So C should be correct. While texting and other abbreviated forms of communication are highly efficient, they are also prone to misinterpretation and can be misunderstood if the sender is not careful. Well, they're also prone to misinterpretation. So if you look at this, they say misinterpretation and they also say misunderstood. This is another form of redundancy. You do not need two of the same words, two synonyms. So I would say they're all, if you think about it, they're also prone to misinterpretation and can be misunderstood. Like, one or the other, man. So it's obviously not no change. Um, and you don't need to mention misunderstood. Lastly, the last answer choice is definitely wrong because doesn't watch out kind of sounds informal and also provides the same meaning as misinterpretation. So if the sender is probably the correct answer. Okay. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Direct current stimulation, or TDCS, is an electric brain stimulation method used by people looking for increased brain power. However, this form of methodology actually decreases IQ scores. So you don't need to say form of methodology because form and method have the same meaning. Or and they also mentioned method earlier, so I would kind of not choose method in this case. And I would rather choose the one that's more concise, so it's process in this case. If you look at C, they say process or practice. They kind of have the same meaning. You don't really need to say or in this case. And then mechanism for brain stimulation. We're already talking about brain stimulation, so why do you have to repeat that? No change does not sound right if you just think about, however, this form of methodology. Um, Scrap what I said earlier, form methodology, they have different meanings, but they already mentioned methodology earlier, so we would rather use a different word and one that is more concise. So it's B. This choice offers clear and concise wording. Number 4. The development of the electron microscope allowed 20th century scientists to see and view minute objects with greater resolution than ever before. In this case, see and view, they have the same meaning. So again, this is redundancy. You can find this pattern. It's very common with the SAT, the December SAT, and eventually the digital SAT. So use one or the other. You could say see or view. B is obviously right. A is wrong because see and view is kind of redundant. See to view, that doesn't make any sense. And they use both words. They have the same meaning. Visually see, like visually see does not really sound right, and it's redundant because visually implies that you're seeing something, so visually see is redundant, so B is the correct answer. Lastly, since some types of wood are more resonant than others, guitars made with those type of wood are highly valued because the wood is more resonant. Okay, first of all, they already say some types of wood are more resonant. So why do you have to talk about resonance again? Obviously, we can eliminate A because there's a whole bunch of redundancy going on. We have some types of wood are more resonant, and then we say because the wood is more resonant. So A is wrong. B is wrong because they say resonant for the second time, and C is wrong because highly valued in cost, like it's highly valued. You don't have to say in cost because highly valued already implies there's a cost feature to it. So that means D is our answer. Now you just got to find a balance between specificity and broadness, and I think that's what ambiguity is all about. You just got to practice, and eventually you'll get better. You'll see improvements, and I hope you do well on your SAT. Good luck.